Gong. And in case you don't have Chrome, we've also got on WebEx. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And welcome to our beginner class. So today we're going to be giving an introduction to Cognos and Insight, which is our reporting tool. It has all the data that you've collected, and you're going to learn in this class how do you build visualizations, charts and graphs and tables. How do you build data tables for extract? How do you deliver reports? All kinds of great things. And you're going to learn a lot more about what reports or reporting tools we do have at ProcessMap. And hopefully I'm going to teach you a lot more about the data that you're collecting in your application and how you can use that data for analytics, for either descriptive or diagnostic analytics. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hope everybody's rocking and rolling. Arvind, if you're monitoring chat, please let me know if somebody is having challenges. And please, if you have a question, we don't have too many participants today, so please feel free to ask any questions. I'm sure we're going to get more questions once we actually start building. And if I'm going too fast, please say, hey, Ben, stop, go back. And if you don't like interrupting, that's fine. Because please interrupt, because there are probably other people on the call that I lost. So I'll try to go slow, especially in the beginning when you're just learning how to create visuals and reports. You can always look at the recording, but it's helpful if I need to repeat something, because if you're trying to build as I'm building, you're going back between screens, it can be a real challenge. So no qualms about interrupting me. It's just fine. All right. So this is our landing page, or this is a landing page that we have. This is our IMS dashboard. You can see here we've got all kinds of different landing pages. This one's built with some metrics that I like to show to get started. And this is one of the areas where we can validate some of our reports as we're going. And if you're wondering what I mean by validate, when you're building a report, or if you're building any kind of diagnostic or any kind of chart or graph, you always want to validate the data that you're presenting to your team, your sponsors, your leadership, your stakeholders within the application. So you have a check, you have a validation. Because if somebody goes and does their own math or looks somewhere else in the application, because there's a lot of places in the application you can find data, they're going to say, hey, your data's wrong, your report's wrong, or your report's broken. And it probably just has to do about filtering of your reports. What org structure are you in? Are you filtering out, deleted records or not? So this landing page is really good for validation, and we're going to do some validating later. Modules, if you go to incident management, go to metrics, this is where I'm constantly validating data, especially for safety. Audit we'll get into later. There's some other areas to audit. If you haven't been into report metrics, come into here, and this will give you any of the data that you want to find. You put this screen into edit. You can filter by what months you want, what years you want, and you can look at all your metrics. And this is really, really handy to if you are trying to validate your data before you deliver a report. So this is really one of the best areas, I think, for gathering data for incident management. There's also Report Central, which is here. If you look on your if you look on your toolbar here on the left-hand side, right down here where it says reports, if you haven't been in here yet, if you're fairly new, this is Report Central. Pretty self-explanatory. You can create your own reports. These are basically data dumps, data extracts. And this class isn't about this. Go over this with your CSM, but this is another good place for reports. But what we're going to be talking about the next 8 weeks is Insight. So Insight on your left-hand toolbar is the pie-shaped icon that says Insight next to it. And if you just click on that, that's going to open another browser window for you. Or it might not open a browser window. It depends on how your application is set up. And this gets you to the landing page or your home page for Insight. And I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can see better. So, so just to talk a little bit about what I'm going to do today. Now, if you don't get this screen, or if your cohorts do not get to screen when they click on Process Map Insight, that's because they haven't been given permissions yet. Okay, so everybody who has access, or you've been given a user role or a user ID and set them up in Process Map, has access or can have access to Insight to look at reports and data. Now, consumers only have the ability to run reports, schedule reports, view dashboards, print dashboards to PDF. They can email reports to themselves, schedule them. So if you guys are being authors, you're probably administrative users or authors that can help your consumers, unless you're the one that's managing the data distribution to your teams. So what I want to do here is pause real quick and go back into the application and show you where to assign permissions for both consumers and permissions for authors, for users. Okay, so if you are set up as a super user or an administrator, you will have this setup icon down here on your left-hand toolbar. So if you click on that, you'll get this next menu. Click on Security, go to Users, and it'll pop up a alphabetical list of your users based on login name. Okay, so I'm going to look up my own admin user in my demonstration module. If you it's a free text search, so put in their first name or their last name or their login name, and this will appear. So if I click on the blue font fields, it'll pull up my user information. Okay. Now, there are two areas I want to talk about here that are very important. One is your scope, because oftentimes you will have a user, a consumer of a report that goes in and runs their own reports. Now, we've built in security within our application based off of their scope permissions they're given right here. So not only do they not have access to, say, enter in or look at incidents at a certain location, but you also can prohibit them or do prohibit them from viewing the data in the business intelligence platform Insight. So if somebody does not have scope permissions, their report may or may look different than everybody else. Okay, so you need to make sure that if you are setting somebody up as a user, if you're an administrator, that they have access to everything that you want to give them for looking at or viewing the data. So I just went inside and gave myself full access to everything in geography. That's primarily what I am going to be running. And if you look here, it goes further down, all the way down to locations. So if you're not familiar with scope, you need scope to, one, access the application, but also to see the data and insight. So if you're troubleshooting somebody complaining about a report that doesn't look like yours, first thing to do is check this, okay? So next thing I want to do is show you about the application permissions, okay? Now in application permissions, this gives you module permissions, report central permissions, and then it gives you insight permissions right here. So if I'm going into insight permissions, it shows me that I've only got consumer rights or consumer roles here. So I need to set myself up as an author in all of these roles, okay? So I can go ahead and click save. You will need to log out and then log back in for these application permissions to take place, okay? Now, I'm just showing you an example here by the admin user. I actually want to show you myself. I signed in as.
Ben, I have a question.
Sure.
When I went to my Insight permissions, some of them are marked as author and some of them still show as consumer for the different modules.
You should change them all to author. You will not be able to access the data packages to build reports for anything that's marked consumer.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're given author access, you can go in and build reports just off of what you're being given access to. So what might have happened was you were given, you probably only got for a couple of modules, and then you probably added some modules. And then when that happens, it doesn't, you have to go in and set your permissions again to author.
Okay.
I'm just surmising, but that could be the.
Yeah, I don't know that that's what happened, but I haven't always had author access, so
Okay.
who knows? Doesn't matter.
All right. Well, yeah, go ahead and reset yourself. Save it, and okay. Log in, log out, and then you'll be good. So now we've set up a lot of you for some temporary authors. I can't help you if you don't have that set up yet. I think that everybody has been set up. Last time I looked at our sign up sheet, if you for some reason, if you come into here and I start showing you a few things, if you don't have author access yet, please reach out to your CSM and they will help you get your customer service manager and they will get you set up. Okay. I don't have that security. We need to get you help and put a ticket in it as soon as possible. Okay, so here's your landing page. And some of you may have noticed, and I've been giving some trainings over the past couple of months on our new version of Cognos that just came out. We're at 11.1.7. We've upgraded from 11.0.13, so it was quite a jump. We've got a lot of new stuff. I'm not going to really focus on what's new here because if you're a beginner, it's kind of irrelevant. Some of you might be repeating this class and it might look a lot different to you. But if you're brand new, it's almost an advantage because it's your first time exploring author details of the application. So I'm going to give you a quick overview. We're actually going to go into very detail of your user interface because it's very important if you are starting to become an author to learn how to navigate efficiently in the user interface so you don't lose your work, you don't close out, you open things quickly, you can jump around and look at a lot of different things at once if you just manage the your user interface properly, if you get very used to it. Okay, so we have our I like to start down here at the bottom where it says full view. If you are seeing your process map toolbar right here next to your insight toolbar, go ahead and click full view. Okay. One, it's going to make your canvas larger. Two, you're not going to accidentally click on your home here, which is going to log you out of the application, your insight application, and you're going to lose whatever work you created. Third, it's not going to time you out. Okay. Somehow, if you lose connection, you're going to not see your data, but you can still save reports. So if you're working in Insight and you're working away, and you don't have it in home, if you'll see a pop-up, are you still logged in or are you still working? You don't keep clicking yes or you miss it, you can lose your application. So if you go to lunch, sometimes you forget, just make sure you save all your work. Either way, it's just like any other computer. Well, it's different than any other computer. Microsoft Word and Excel, they'll save your work. It's not going to get saved here. Okay. So if you go to lunch, you go to a meeting, just please save your work, and I'll show you what that'll look like. Okay. So this is your full view. Now, this is new down here at the bottom left. So if you click on new, this will show you a little pop-up window pane. Now, from here, if you're an author, you're going to see upload files, data module, dashboard, and report. Okay. Now, you're also going to see here in your customer outputs, you're going to see a little plus. That's going to give you the access to add to this list of quick customer outputs. We used to call them key customer outputs, but these are quick links to reports, dashboards, and folders. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a scratch in my throat, so I may be getting up to get some more water here in a bit. Okay. So we'll come back over this later, but I just this is how you verify if you are actually in an author. You can create new dashboards and things. If you guys click on these, you can go ahead and play with it. It doesn't really matter at this point. If you ever want to get back to the home page, which you're looking at here, you click on your home in the upper left, or you have your main navigation pane in the center where it says home and there's down caret. You click on that, and you can always click on home here as well. So if you start getting lost in the different layers of the application, just click yourself back to home, and then you can see what else you have open here. I don't have anything else open, so it's not showing. Okay. So this is creating new content. Oops. This is creating new content, full view pane. Recent is a great function that I have a hard time getting students to use because they keep trying to go, every time they want to open a report, they'll go through their entire file structure to find their report. But if you've been working on something and recently, it'll show the last 20 different reports, dashboards, folders, any stories, explorations, anything you've been creating in the application will you can get to very quickly by clicking here. Because if you see the name list reports, this is the, if you can see right underneath of it, you hover over the URL, that is the pathway to the report. And some of these pathways can be pretty long, okay? It depends on how big you build your file structure that I'm going to show you here very soon for your reporting structure. So just like in Windows, Microsoft, you can create a file structure just like Google, shared folders, my folders. You can create different file and folder structures to house your content of your data. So if you're just getting started in the application, or if you're coming in new, start building your file structure in a methodical way, because it can get unruly. And if you start moving reports around, you can break the links to these structures, because these links are based on the pathway to your files and the content within them. If you start changing names, you'll break the link, all these kinds of things. But you can very easily correct them. I'm going to show you a little bit later how to do that. Okay, so that's recent, very handy. Please use it as much as possible. Portal pages, these are dashboard portals that are production reports. You don't have access, I don't have access to create new portals. This is something we do as a service. But if you want to, and it's kind of being phased out, same with workspaces. If you're familiar with, if you've taken the class before, if you're familiar with workspaces, they're kind of the older technology for Cognos dashboards, and they are being phased out by Cognos. They're still supporting them, but in the next 5 years at least, they're going to be gone. The more and more upgrades they make to dynamic dashboards, the more and more updates they make to reports, the less relevant workspaces are. So these are kind of going to be phased out. We still have some great content for you in our production workspaces. We're going to go over that, but we're not going to be creating any of these. We're also not going to be covering how to create workspaces. If you want to, we have training content on them, or you can look it up, the content. It's not that difficult. But we are going to be covering reports and dynamic dashboards in this class. So team content. This is your main content folder. And it's pretty self-explanatory. This is where, as opposed to my content here, this is your little playground. Nobody else has access to this unless you're our security administrator to Cognos. They can always go in here and get content. If somebody leaves and has important content, we can get into somebody's my content. But team content is where this is where your playground is, where your drafts are. Team content is where you want to deliver your content to your users. And if you're going to be creating links to these customer outputs, they have to be in team content. You cannot create a link from another user into a report that's in my content. Okay, now, that'll make sense when we go over creating customer outputs or custom outputs. Okay, so we'll start at the top. Company folders. This is going to be unique to your organization. So this is, for example, I've got 3 folders here. You're just going to have 1. and it's going to have the name of your organization. If you open that up and then open custom folders, and you can see up above here, if you get lost, you can click on this and it'll show you the pathway. These back arrows will, I'll open this up a little bit. These arrows will take you back and forth, you know, if you want to drill down further. Here you can create new folders. Also got a search function here. Actually, it's a filter function. If you want to filter and look for a folder, you can also sort your folders. I'll get into the search function in a minute. But so if I'm in custom folders, these are all the subfolders that I've got for my team in Process Map. Now, this is our demo module, so we've got a lot of people in here doing different things. This is where you're going to want to create a folder for, say, incident management. You want to create a folder for audit. You want to create a folder for BBS, calendar, any of your big buckets of your module. This is really where you probably want to create the upper node of your custom folders. If you want to start creating content and have it well organized, get started here, click a new content, new folder, and just create your own folder, you know, just put your name in there, call it your drafts, okay? But you can do it in my content as well. But, you know, for this practice sake, create a new folder, create another folder, say, if you want to do IMS, incident management, you can create a new one, and it's going to drop it down alphabetically. So you see here, you open these up, there's no content. So you can create more folders. You can upload files, data files if you want to upload an Excel file, CSV file. This is where you can start building your own data models. But you're not going to need to do that because we have some absolute wonderful data packages for you that we're going to get into before the end of the day. Okay, so that's custom folders. And if I'm going to be building reports for you, or if I have built reports for you, that's where these are all going to live. And I apologize if this is very rudimentary for you. Remember, it is a beginner class. I need to start at the bottom with most of our students. So if this is rudimentary to you, please bear with us. Okay, so that's custom folders, company folders. Now, Process Map Author Library. So this is pretty self-explanatory. This is going to be a library of tools for you to use while building your reports and your dashboards. So if I click on this,
Excuse
open
me,
it up.
Ben.
Yeah.
When I tried to create a new folder called Let's Go Drafts, it gave me an error message.
Okay, in which folder were you in?
Team content.
Okay. Yeah, you can't create a new folder in team content.
Okay.
You have to go into your company folders and click on your organization, and then click on custom folders. Okay. There's just levels of security. These main folders and team content are locked down. You cannot add to these. They are the same with your application. They're the same with, you know,
Okay.
you know, Acme tires. It's the same for everybody. Your internal content is within your company folder and in custom folders. So now, once you're in here, custom folders, then you can create. You have to take a couple leaps to get to team content, company folders, open your folder, then you can start creating new folders. See, this is why I stress on, this is why I stress using the recent tab, because it's there's just a couple layers you got to get down into your file structure where the security lets you start saving and creating new content. Okay. It has to do with our security around our production reports, our data. We only give access down to a certain level on certain folders. If we didn't have that, it would be mayhem, and everybody would be destroying everybody's data and reports. And
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
yeah, it's all structured around security. And everybody is going to have the same data also. So if I go back here, go back into process map library, and thanks for interrupting. It's really important because other people probably have the same questions. Now, dashboard widgets, okay? These are widgets, these are filters, these are things that we have built for workspaces that are kind of going out of style or out of production. Unless you want to explore and play with these, you can ignore this. Prompts as well. These are pre-built prompts for all of our modules that we have built for your use, but these are a bit outdated since dynamic dashboards is really easy to create prompts. You don't need, so these are basically reports that you had to build to create a filter, a prompt filter in a workspace. You don't have to do that anymore. All you have to do is drag the field in and drop it. You've got yourself a filter. Okay, so the workspaces were a bit complex and they're a bit outdated, so we're dropping that. But my purpose here is talking about packages. Now this is where all your data packages are going to live when you want to build reports. And what these are your, and I'm gonna jump ahead and I'm gonna create a quick little dashboard that I'll get back to later. So I'm gonna create a template. I'm gonna do create. Now I'm just gonna get started. I'm gonna pull in the data so you guys can see, and then I'm gonna finish up with the navigation of our, but it's really important you understand this point. If you start building and you don't have any data, you can't build anything. It's like this is your lumber yard, right? So go ahead and select a source. And we're going to go into company, into author library, go to packages. We're going to be doing incident management. And then see this one's highlighted blue. And then you say, oh, there's nothing in this folder. Well, you selected the package you need. And when it says nothing in this folder, down below it'll say add. So you click on add. And this has added this integrated IMS package. So this, and if you see this back arrow, if you just click one back arrow, this will show you all the data packages you have available to you for this report. I've only added one, but you can add others. Now, as a beginner, I don't recommend you making dashboards with multiple data packages just yet. Start out simple. Once you get comfortable with it, because the filters do not cascade between packages. You have to build a data module and join those data modules within a report via queries to be able to combine the data. That was a mouthful, but that's what stuff you're going to learn in the intermediate class. So if any of you are taking this class as a refresher, don't stress, you'll learn it eventually. But here, you're going to be able to create by just putting the data into different tabs, right? Create different tabs in a dynamic dashboard, and then you can use other data packages. Anyway, probably went a little too deep there, but this is where all of the data, all of the measures, your time information, measures, setup and lookup, all your incident record details that you've created in your application, incident IDs, incident title, incident type, incident location, all the fields that you fill out in the application, all the data live within these data items that we've created for you, okay? So your packages are essentially everything, whether it's a user entered field or it's a system field, like a date created, a due date on an action item, a date approved by a manager. All those fields live inside of your data packages. And next class, next week, we're going to be exploring in depth for incident management and audit. You know, 70, 80, 90% of our, I forget what it is, of our clients use incident management. But if you're only using like industrial hygiene, if you're just using BBS or any of the other modules, just using audit, I'll shift gears and teach you where the data is you need to know on those data packages. Okay. So
Hey, Ben, I have
yeah.
another. So when I went to the select the data source
Mm-hmm,
and hit add a data source, it's
mm-hmm.
bringing up the structure like, do I want it from team content, company folders, process map,
Yep.
library?
Author library.
Okay.
See, remember when I was giving I was going through here and I was teaching all the need for um, process math author library. I was going through
Okay.
this team content folder. I was explaining what these are for. And I went down to show you what these data packages actually do. And that's why I created this new dashboard to show you what a data package was. Okay.
Okay.
So don't
So
sweat
when
it.
I go to that, I see dashboard widgets, packages, and prompts.
Yeah. You want to select packages. Okay. Don't sweat this now. Is this Christine?
It is.
I'm not teaching you how to build a dashboard yet. We'll get to that. The second part of the class, I'm teaching you what's inside of
Okay.
this
I got
folder,
you.
which is the author library packages, incident management.
Management.
This is
Got
the
it.
package that I just plonked into a dashboard to use my data to build my reports,
Okay.
build my widgets. Okay. I'm just trying to get across the concept right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll get back to the actual process. I kind of took a little, side turn into creating a dashboard so you could visualize what was in for those data packages and author library. So this is really important for authors. Okay. All right. Next, process map dashboards. So we have a whole bunch of dashboards, reports that we've already created for you, and they're called production dashboards. Okay. So I'm going to show you, this is in the team contact process map dashboards. This is our file structure where if you look on your home page, you have customer outputs. This is everything that you've created custom. Reports, we're going to get to reports in your file structure, but these are shortcuts into your report structure. And dashboards. So these are the production dashboards that we've created for you that live inside this file structure. Okay. So right now we have our portal dashboards here, module dashboard and adoption dashboard. Remember, I briefly talked about portals. And then we have a few dashboards that we've created for incident management. Now, if you've attended our previous introductions in the Insight user group, we have been rolling out new production reports, new concepts of redesigning this our landing page. We're going to be creating new production dashboards and production reports that you can start using, and it's just basically more content. So these reports or these dashboards, you have access to make copies and then edit. But if you try to go into here, you can copy this audit management folder. Well, let me just open this up. We have an audit management dynamic dashboard. You can make a copy of it, put it in my folders or in your team content, then you can edit it. But you cannot edit one of these production dashboards, okay? And you're going to learn more about this as we go. So this is where the process map, we own these, okay? But you can access these by clicking through and going into Integrated Incident Management. You see EHS Manager, Incident Statistics and Analysis Dashboard, Facility Manager, Incident Statistics Dashboard. If you see right here, here are shortcuts. So if I wanted to open this one, I could go through my file structure, or I just click right here. Okay. Now remember, this is just an orientation of the user interface. So I'm showing you where to access this stuff, where it lives. I really want you guys to get the basic understanding of the whole file structure, how the links on the home page work, and where those reports and dashboards live in your navigation pane here on the left-hand side. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Ben. We have 3 questions on do we have a data package for apps?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, since apps are unique to our clients, and some of the apps we provide, and then you can modify, we don't have out-of-the-box data packages for those apps, but we can build it for you, okay? And there's a process to go through that. So what you would do, you get with your CSM. Well, first of all, you create your app or modify the app we provided. Start using it, go through the QA/QC, make sure it's great, and then we work with you to complete essentially a technical specification form that will tell us know what fields you want to use and how do you want to use those fields. What kind of measures do you want out of the app? What kind of date fields do you want to filter your app data with? And then we would create a new data package for you, okay? And when you would log in to your packages, team content, to author library packages, you would see another folder here that would see right here, it says risk assessment JSA. Wait, no, that's not an app. That's just a risk assessment module. You would see if I was in a client site, I could show you, but say you had a management of change app that you're using, or you're using a Gemba Walk, app that you've created. You would see down here Gemba Walk app or your management of change app. So yes, we can create those for you, or you can just extract your data, upload it here. Oops. Upload it here, uploaded files, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. That's coming. Essentially, you just click on uploaded files. It opens up your Windows browser. You go into your folder. You click on the Excel, double click on the Excel file. It'll save it in your My Content, and then you can start building reports from there. That's the shortcut if you want to start playing with your app data. That's a great question. But if you want to get a package for your apps, there's about a 3 to 4 week process we go through. But we really caution or recommend that you get some good data in it. You start using it, make sure it's gone through the beta test process, got all the bugs out, because it's a bit of a process to modify it. So we recommend that you kind of be very deliberate about creating data packages for your apps. Any other questions?
No, Ben, that's it for now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay. Sorry to clear up my chat here. Okay. So those are your dashboards. Events. This is kind of a specialty events, smart agents. You might not even have access to this. I'm not going to be going over this. You can create events and smart agents. When something happens, you can get alerted. But you cannot. You need our support to create that. Process map help. This is where you're going to find the content here in your help folder. If you open your, if you open your help module, I'm going to be going over these later. But this is where your content lives for these links. Is in here. Portal tabs. Now I discussed a little bit about portal tabs before. Now I showed you a dynamic dashboard. Now if I open module dashboards here, this is basically your full Monty of all the data for everything that you've got within your application. You look up top, you've got foundation, calendar. You have two different dashboards. You can click on foundation new. And this will have all your kind of user statistics at your organization. Now this is what's called a portal, okay? And this is a dynamic dashboard, but if you look at this one, this is a workspace. See, it's a little bit clunkier. You know, it's not like it's not as clean. These are the prompts that I told you about that you have to build and add them to a workspace. You still have them. We still support them. There's a lot of great data in here, but portals hold multiple dashboards within them. So these portals, go ahead and play with them, work with them. We're not going to be covering how to edit or build new portals or workspaces, but the content is there if you want to work on that. If you want to access that information. Just going to clean up my file structure. So you've got to be careful about your browsers here. If you click on any of these links, it's going to open a new browser for you. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it. Okay. Report exchange. This is a great feature. This is another place where you can save your reports to. And we use this if you want to go in here and you want to surf for, say, incident management reports that other clients have shared. Somebody else has built and has shared it. You got a lot of good content in here. You know, green cost report, demo dash summary. You got all kinds of stuff in here. So if you really want to get in here and look at some of reports that other clients have built, that's what this is for. Okay, so that's your content exchange. Two areas you can save reports in. Three areas: my content, your company folders, and report exchange. Okay, everywhere else is off limits. Okay, process map reports. These are the reports you're going to be see listed here. You can open these, make your copy of them, and edit them, but you can't get into the parent report here and start editing these reports. You don't have access. I try to edit it. It'll let me edit it, but I can't save it. Okay. It'll shut me down. Okay. But you can edit it, make changes, and try to save it. It may not save. I'm not really sure why some reports, or I think dashboards you can do it, but reports you can't. I highly recommend, if you want to run one of these reports, just open it. And we're going to be getting into reports more later. We're going to focus on Dynamics Dashboard the first few weeks. Reports are a bit more complex. You always click on Save As, save this report. We'll be going over a little bit later, saving as a view. What does the view do? But you can click Save As, save it in your content, My Content, or you can save in your custom folders. Then you can start editing these things. These are pretty complex reports. We're going to be making it pretty simple in your beginner class. That's why we're going to focus on dashboards. They're a lot more fun and a lot easier for you to start getting really good content. All right, so that's the file structure. Sorry if that was a little bit boring, but we're going to go ahead and move on. You're probably not going to see the soft launch beta content, but you might see it. But yeah, you will see it. There's some other reports and things in here that you can play with as well. This is where we're testing out new technologies, new data packages. This is what we use this content for, and you can't save anything in there either. All right, so that was our file structure. Search. There's a free text search. You can type in anything you want. Click enter, and it'll come up with a list of content that you have. Now, these may be in My Content, they may be in our folders, they may live in Report Exchange, but you can run it and then copy it and then save it in your folders as well. Okay. So that's search, and you can save your searches if you want, but that's not really necessary. All right, what's new if you haven't seen this before? So there's a little ticker up here, and it will have new information, new reports that we're featuring. This is upgrade. We have some frequently asked questions we've got posted in there. If you click on this, it'll take you to another link with the frequently asked questions about our upgrade. That's what the little ticker's for. This navigation pane I touched on earlier. This is as important as your recents, okay? I've got a new dashboard I've created, and I've opened an action item count report that I have here, okay? So this navigation pane is always going to be here. If I want to flip between different aspects, say I want to copy a report or a dashboard and I want to see how they built something, I can just flip back and forth between these two content. And you can have up to 10 different items open at a time. So you don't have to go back to your home, go find your report or look in recents. It's all right here. Get really used to using this navigation panel. This home button here will take you back to home. Same as this home button here, okay? All right, so further along here, this is a link to your custom folders. Just a quick shortcut for you. This here, now, this may be really handy for you. If you have a dashboard that you're creating that's a corporate dashboard that you want all of your team members just to land on, you can create a dashboard, a dynamic dashboard, have it open in your browser, and you can set it as home, okay? By, it's not saved. You need to save it and run it. But that's a way to save a dashboard that you've built or a report to be set as a home landing page. Now you'd have to do that for every user, but it's a nice feature if you want to create something.
Can you do it by groups of users, or is it you literally have to do it for every user?
You literally have to do it for every user. Notifications. This is if you've created new views, new versions, new updates. I don't really use it. You know, I get an email. You know, if I get a notification or a new report comes out, but it's here if you need it. Some people, you know, who use Cognos live in here. This is where they get all their notifications and emails. Can be as complex. You can remove things if you'd like. Okay. Now the little human up here, this is your preferences or your personal settings. You can look at your schedules and subscriptions. If you're scheduling reports, you can go in here and manage all the reports that you've got scheduled to be delivered. You can set your personal preferences. Let me just drop out of my subscriptions. You can set your personal preferences. The home page set as default. If you ever need set something different one as your home page, you come and remove it as default. You could set it back to the this home page. Your default report format, it defaults to HTML, but if you want to run everything to Excel, you can set your personal preferences here. These are the different types of files that you can create when you run a report. Accessibility features, show hints. This is a good little feature. I keep this on. You'll see this little blue button that'll appear once in a while. If you hover over it, it'll give you hints about your tools. Time zones you can set, product language, content language, bi-directional language support. I've never actually used that. Personal. This is your email. This is the email that you'll be getting from the application. You can change it. Say if you wanted to go to a different email, this is where you can edit it. This comes in from your settings in the application. So if you want your notifications to go to a secondary email, you create that here. Advanced. Yeah, and this is advanced. You don't really need to know anything about this. You can look at what groups and roles you have. These are all the groups and roles that I've been assigned in the application. So if you're curious why you're not seeing dates or you're not seeing certain things, you can check here. Look at your capabilities you've got. Anyway, preferences pretty much similar to most applications. Okay, now this is the IBM Help Center. So if you've really getting into building reports, my knowledge base is about 5 years of working in IBM Cognos. And I've done about 10 years in data analytics. They've got guys that have been around 30 years, 40 years in data analytics. If you need help with certain things, you just want to search for a certain topic, creating a view, you know, just creating. it'll come up with a list of search results, creating custom templates. Now, these links will take you to the IBM Knowledge Center, where you can just click on Knowledge Center, and it'll open a new browser, and it'll take you into the IBM world of support. So if you're really into this, you want to expand your horizon, you want to make data analytics a career, I recommend really signing up for support groups. You can sign up for, just go to the Knowledge Center and play around. You get into our learning content. It's all out of the Knowledge Center. We used to update training content, but you know, it would take us a couple months after we do an upgrade, and we'd have to change all our content. And we're just like, why don't we just use IBM's content? You're not going to see exactly the data packages. You're not going to be familiar with what they're building. But as your knowledge increases, you can, you know, you see the similarities between what you're building in our package and what you're building, or what they're showing you in their sample data sets. So this is a greatly improved product if you guys haven't been in with using the newest version. It wasn't as nice as in the previous version. Okay, last couple of things before we get started. And just more detailed things. We're going to actually go in and start building. I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between reports, dashboards, views that are primarily what we're going to be working with. Okay, so as I mentioned before, key customer outputs. This is a shortcut to your customer created outputs or reports that we've created for you. Now, it goes by type, name, description, module. You can look at it as a tile view. You can look at it as a list view. This tile view is going to get a lot better in the next version. We're in 11.17. That's the last version of 11.1. Next, we're going to go to 11.2, which is a huge leap. And we're going to see a bunch of new stuff here. This is your list view. And you just click on one of these, and it'll open a demo dashboard for you. This is a dashboard I created for some of our sales department. But you can copy things, you can plonk it in here. I'm not going to be teaching you how to create stuff like this in dashboards. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later when we get to assignments. This little plus button, this is if you want to add content to this customer outputs, okay? So have your content already created, and say I want to create a shortcut to the HSQ. Let's create to this. So I want to copy the URL. Oops, cancel. I want to click on share. Okay. And that will pull up a couple of large URL links. Okay. You don't want the embedded code, you want the link. Okay. Now you could share a link by sending it in an email here, but you don't. I just want this copied. It goes to my clipboard. I reduce this. I come back here and I click a plus. So now it's going to ask me sequence number, what order, title, which is here under name, path. This is where I want to plonk in my pathway that I just copied. So remember when I'm creating all this, showing you all that file structure in creating, this is the computer code language that will take me from clicking this blue hyperlink into that file and opening that file, opening the dashboard that's in that file. Okay. Now, all of these need to be created. I'm not going to save it because I'm in the demo environment. Got too much stuff in here anyway. But if you want to start training content, saving content on your key custom outputs, this is where you fill it in. You give it a title, give it a description, select what module, sequence number, and then click on save, and it'll save it in here. Now, if these ever break, it's because you've changed this URL link, either by moving the report or changing the name to the report. Okay. So if you ever do that, remember, and it's part of your customer outputs, you've got to come back here and then update this. Say, I'm updating this here. If I click on one of these, not on this board, but click outside of here, I'll get two extra icons. I'll get an edit button and I'll get a trash can. Trash can, edit. You guys know this. Now, this is where I'd come in and repaste my URL for the new location of my parent board. Maybe you had some changes, you saved it as a new version, and you called it V2 or final version, whatever. You're going to have to update this hyperlink. Always remember that. Okay. All right, I am going to take a quick 2 minutes and refresh my glass of water. If you need a bio break, please take it right now. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I'll go on mute. Hold tight. Okay, thank you very much. All right, next time I'll get myself a larger glass of water. All right, so.
Hey, Ben, we have one more question actually.
Sure.
So are you going to provide any written material for this class for the session 1?
Yeah, let me, any written material? No, I'll be providing the recording. And when I get to I'll get to the help here, and I'll show you some content we do have. It's got older user interface, but there is written content that we have in the help section. Okay. Okay. So
thanks, Ben.
No problem. Key customer outputs, went over that. Reports, I've touched on. You don't have access to that to create new content, but you have access to run these reports. And we've got incident management we're working on. We're going to add 3 or 4 more new ones, and then we're going to be adding a bunch more content. So we're gonna have to figure out how we manage this, because it's going to get larger. Dashboards I went over before already. I think we may do separate tabs for separate modules. And to answer your question of the gentleman or lady that asked the question, we have here in our help section, we've got release notes. I'll take you a link to release notes, team content. We've got training content and training videos. So training content will take you to written content that we have in the application, or these will be links to user guides, okay, that have been created by IBM, okay. So it's either going to give you a hyperlink to a file at the IBM website, or it'll be a PDF download that you can download and save. You can always, download the content from IBM. So creating report views, for example, we click on this. This will take you to creating report views on the IBM support site, okay, Cognos Analytics support site. Okay, for example, if you go to content, let me just clear up my tabs up here. More content. Now, for example, so that's data exploration, getting started with dashboards. This is all new content that we added in September. If you look at some of this older content, this goes back to 2018, some more in September this year that the new stuff is all IBM content. This is older kind of legacy content, but it's still good, like Insight Setup. I gave you kind of the quick and dirty on how to set up users. It's kind of got an older user interface, but you can kind of figure out the same way to click through, set up a user, giving permissions. Okay, so there's different series of content. That's something that we probably should update, but most of the content we want to go to more of a IBM driven content, because it's going to be updated by them with the newest and best and the more experienced personnel. So for example, if you want, this is a really good one, getting started with dashboards. This is going to give you everything you want to know. There's a tutorial about dashboard, creating dashboards, exploring your data, adding visualizations, schematics, pinnings, widgets, all the things I'm going to be teaching you, forecasting, you can get online just by clicking these content links, okay, that we've got created. Personal settings, I went through your personal settings. This is an old document, you can run that. Running reports, scheduling reports. There's a new user interface I'm going to show you today on this, okay? Setting preferences, something we also talked about, okay? So to answer your question, here's the content for you. We also have training videos, okay? So this is some videos on how to set up Insight, creating report views and schedules. They're older user interfaces, but this is the new content on creating stories, explorations, reusing styles, creating your first dashboard. If you want to watch a good video to help you get started, or if you want some more content, just log on to here. Now you're going to see a lot of third-party content here that we can't share, we can't post. You've got PM Square, they're a consultant that we actually use sometimes. They give like 1.5-hour videos, introduction to Cognos 11.1.7. They'll probably go into different things, a little bit more detail, probably a little bit different than I'm producing, because I'm showing you more about how our application is set up. They're going to give you more of a generic application. But this is YouTube. This is IBM's YouTube site. They've got a plethora of content, and that's where we have accessed these links that are pertinent to the types of styles and reports we've created. If you click on these links, it's going to really expand your content of what you've got here. I mean, they literally, this is a, this has to do about Java design. I mean, this really gets into a lot of different stuff. You can join the IBM support and training. I'm subscribed to it. You can come in here and look for videos. If you forget how to do something, you want to do something crazy, and I don't know how to do it, you've got this huge support. So that's why we're getting away from this printed content that we update a PDF file, do new screenshots. I mean, we've got this resource from IBM that's so deep and so knowledgeable. And you see here, he's going through like what I did to show you of selecting a data source. If they add data here, they're just going to upload a file, right? Or they're going to go to sample data file that they've created. We show you how to create out of your data contents. So this is just like sample data, but it'll remind you how to get into your data. All right, I beat that one to death, but thank you for the question. It was a very good question. Training videos, and then reports inventory. This is a bit of a legacy product that we've had. And if you had classes before, and it's pretty good. I mean, if you open this up, here, reports catalog, this is a Excel sheet with, I think, some macros in it and some links that will take you to, they'll show a, if you want to go to incident management, it'll show screenshots of different reports you can run, and it'll have the URL link to those reports. So this is really good if you're just trying to explore the data that we have, or not the data, but the content we have, the report content we have. This is a good resource for you. And we're going to be updating this more and more as we create new content.
Hey, Ben.
Yep.
If we want to use one of those reports that you just pulled up on that Excel file where you had all the links, how do we like copy that link over to our customer outputs and it will work from there? Or is there some additional work that we need to do from there?
You should just be able to click on the link, or just click on the tile, or let me show you. Sometimes these links get broken. So here you have the report name, the description. Here's the link. If you read in here, it'll tell you how to get to that source access. But if you just click on this and your application is open, it will open up the report for you. And I probably pick one that, no, it looks like it's running a report. Now, all these reports that you see on here, they all live in process map reports. So if you get the name, so here's workers' comp. So that's an incident management, case management, WCLS, okay. Source, that's not in there. Investigation, oh, claims. See, it's right here. So this is where this report lives, okay? So again, it's just a way to find the production reports that we've created for you. Does that answer the question, Melissa?
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, this is yeah, just click on the link, and if not, hover over it and go in the cell, and then just copy that cell and copy that link and paste it. Or you could copy this, right click on it, copy it, and paste it in your browser.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
My computer's just going real slow, so I was trying to click on those links as you were going through and it's not loading for me, but
Yeah,
That's okay.
You may have been signed out, so you may have to go back. See, like here, I'm signed out more than 29 minutes. If you've signed out, because a single server sign-on has to go through authentication, that's where it might get hung up. So if that happens, you may want to log out, log back in, and then click on it, just so it'll go through the authentication process. Or you just look at the title, go into search, type in the name of the report, or WCLSA. And then here are different reports access. You have this is a little easier because it gives you a lot more content, I think. Okay, see where we're at. Okay, so that is pretty much the bulk of today. There's a few things I'm going to be going over. So that is kind of an introduction to the user interface. Now, there's a lot of stuff I've dived into, and there's some other things that I'm going to be going over before the end of class. But are there any questions at this point before I kind of get into some more detailed stuff? Nope, we're good. All right. Okay, so what I want to talk about next is the differences between reports and dynamic dashboards. So dynamic dashboards are the newest technology that runs on the surface of the browser. It's very fast. It's very easy to work with. The technology lets you drag and drop visuals into your application. Here's a cross tab. I mean, a lot of you guys know it as a pivot table. You can pull in your data. You know, how do I want to do this? No, I'm not going to do a cross tab. I'm just going to do a bar chart. And it lets you, as a beginner, with somebody with just mouse skills and some of the knowledge that I've been giving you today on how to access your data. Okay, so your bars, it's pretty self-explanatory, are your vertical representation. Those are your x-axis, okay, calendar year. The length, we're going to look at a measure, which we have in our measures, and I'm going to search for it. I'm going to go total recordable. So I got total recordable cases, total recordable incidents, total recordable incident rate. Let's look at our incident rate. I bring that into the x-axis, excuse me, the y-axis, the length. And look, I've got data. I've got a whole bunch of extra years in here, and I just want to look at the past 5 years. So I can start filtering this data right away. Now, this is how this is a super simple user interface that you guys are going to get started today building exactly what I just built. And I'm going to want you guys to play with this. I want you to go home or to your colleagues and say, hey guys, what kind of data do we want to look at of incident management? What kind of data do we want to look at of audit or GBS? Have them challenge you. Just do something simple, year over year, total recordable incident rate. The idea for me to be successful at this class is that you guys leave here, you know, in 3 weeks, we're gonna have a show and tell of what you've built, right? In 8 weeks, I want you guys to have some actionable, some reports and dashboards with actionable intelligence that you guys can start using to help manage your safety, health, or quality control program, okay? So really hope you guys follow along, take the time to dive into these dynamic dashboards. I'm going to show you just a glimpse of reports. They do have drag and drop functionality, but they have different ways of building filters, managing queries that's a little bit more technical. And we're going to be building very basic reports, like detailed reports, some crosstabs, get you guys started to where you're going to learn a lot more in the intermediate class to build some really quality type of reports that you can use, that you can have delivered and support. So dynamic dashboards are great. They're simple. You can get started quickly. You can pull in filters for your report, and you can drill in and start creating content very quickly. So if I want to look at the past 5 years, I drag and drop a filter into my filter box. I click OK, and it gives me incident rates for the past 5 years. Okay. Now it just gives me on the scale. So from here, I've got this very simple report. Then I can start adding details. I can start adding the values. Okay. I can start adding filters by location or my organizational structure. Okay. So this is dynamic dashboards. They're quick and easy. They're great to use. If you want to export the data, you have to do it by export by PDF, or you can export it by using a drill through to a secondary report and then export that to Excel. Or authors are able to visualize data and export data via a CSV file by just clicking here, but only authors can do that because you need edit rights. Okay. Now reports, I'm sorry, I keep on going down different rabbit holes here, but reports are very powerful, and they're a little bit more complex. Reports, you can combine data items from different modules into the same report, and you're able to filter them with the same filters. That might not mean a lot to you now, but it will be when you start trying to create scorecards for an entire organization where you're combining data from incident management, audit management, BBS, and maybe even an app. You want it all on one chart or spreadsheet or crosstab, right? That you're able to export or schedule that report to be delivered into your inbox on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that covers a certain time frame. And we're going to show you how to schedule those reports as well. You can have like a safety newsletter that we're about to, I'm meeting with my team after this, trying to finalize it. And one of your exercises is going to be to edit that safety scorecard report that has, different visuals, different types of visuals. It's great data, and it's a newsletter that can be delivered to your entire team. I forget who asked me the question. I think it was Christine. You can have reports delivered by group or by role. You just can't set the dashboard. So groups and roles can be used in Cognos or in Insight, just not setting the home pages, because that is controlled universally by groups and roles setting. So if we did that, it would work. That was something that would everybody, all of our clients would get the same visual that had the same role. All right, so that's kind of setting the groundwork between dashboards. We're going to spend about half the classes on dashboards, dynamic dashboards, and we're going to spend about half on reports. And I want to be able to get to a certain point in this class where you have a working dynamic dashboard with drill through capabilities to a very simple detailed report, okay, that you can use within your organization. And what do I mean by a drill through report? And that's something I should have showed you when we were looking at the dashboards. So if I go to my dashboards, and I've got something stuck in my browser that's not letting me open it. So I'll go to my dashboards here. So I'm going to open my integrated incident management dashboard. Now this is a great, this is a workspace. Highly recommend you guys, if you haven't been in here, you look in here, you review it. But a drill through report is saying like, okay, I've filtered by my employee, my subcontractors. That's the data I want to look at. I want to filter by my org structure. I want to filter all my data, and I want to see my lost time cases. Okay, so I got 15 lost time cases. Or I want to see total recordable counts by period. Now, I can look at the total lost time cases by just clicking on this hyperlink, and it's going to drill through to a child report. And this child report has my details, okay? So this is a bit more complex to do this in a report than a dashboard, but dashboards are very easy to create that. And, you know, it might be a little ambitious, but with the new features in the dynamic dashboards that were created, I think by the time, if I set the content right in this class, you guys are going to come out with some really nice stuff that you can use in your leadership, your stakeholders, your cohorts can really access great data by the end of the class. Okay, so that is what I have for today. Are there any questions before we agenda close and look at what's coming up next week? No, we're good. Okay, so next week we are going to be diving into the data set. Now, I gave you a bit of a taste of it when I was creating this dashboard. And this is your data sets, okay? This is your data package, excuse me. Data set, data package. This is your package right here, okay? Click in there. These are your data sets. They're sets of data items, okay? So each one of these little icons is a different value that can be displayed in a report or a dashboard, right? So we're going to be exploring this with incident management and audit. For those of you who don't have incident management, we're going to be creating more dashboard widgets. I'm going to be going through all the field properties that you have that you can sort, top or bottom, format, all the properties of the widget itself. That's your data. These are the properties of the visual. You can change the colors. You can change the axis representation. You can change the legend. You can add legends. Is that Christian?
Yeah. Can you go back? I can't follow you. I don't know how you got to this point with your data package.
Right here? Okay. Can you mute real quick? I'll go. Got a bit of an echo for you. Okay. So, did you create a dashboard yet? I guess it's.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So let me delete this. I'll create a new dashboard for you. And this is where I'm going to stop after this. And then we're going to do this again first thing on our next class. But if you guys want to play with this and practice with it, I'll get you started for if you want to do some, extra credit here. So click on the bottom here, bottom left of your user interface. Okay. Click on the plus. Do you see dashboard here? Click on that. Okay. It'll ask you to select a template. Okay. Just select a tab template right here. It'll default to it. And click on create. Okay. So now you're going to see your canvas over here on the right-hand side. You'll see a little, looks like graph or grid paper. It doesn't show up. I'll bring a better screen for the next class. I'm at home today, but I'll bring my nice 4K in from work, so it looks a little cleaner. Okay, so you're going to select your data source. So over here, remember, you go to your lumberyard. You need your products. You need your tools. You need your data. Select on a data source. Now it's going to come up with your content folders. Okay, it's clicked on. It's defaulted to team content. You want to open up your process map author library. Okay, this is where your data packages live. So select data process map author library, then select packages. Now I'm showing all the modules here because I've got all the modules in my demonstration environment, but you select which module that you want to build reports out of. Incident management is going to be our primary because most everybody has it, but if you have, for example, audit or BBS, just go ahead and open those and then select your package, and then it'll disappear and it'll say nothing's here. That's okay. Just click add. And it'll give you your data sets within your data package. Okay, did you follow along?
Did. I got it now. Thanks.
Okay, you got it. All right. So, okay. All right. So, guys, I hope that's a good start for you. I will have a recording of this that I will share with the entire group at the end of class. And so if you can review it, it'd be great. So next week, we're going to dive into this a lot more. You're actually going to be having some content to play with next week, or excuse me, after next week. The third session, we're going to have like a working show and tell. You guys are going to show me where you get stuck, what you need help with, what can't you figure out, why is my data not validating with the data that the other widgets I have in the application. And we're going to be spending 2 hours troubleshooting that. We've got a pretty big class. There's 40 of you. We don't get to everybody. I can stay. I'll book another hour or 2 hours to stay late to help everybody out. Okay. But class will just be again from 1 to 3. And if you really have challenges, ping me directly, and I'll give you half hour of direct time. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the first class. And if you get stuck, stick with it. go to those videos, go watch some of this content that you have on your homepage, go to help, go to these training videos, open these up, create your first dashboard. Watch this one. If you get stuck, it's really helpful. All right, thank you very much. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you guys all next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
You're welcome.